Um, what the actual fuck did I just read? Hello there, everyone, and welcome back to Canine Cannibalism. Today, we are going to be taking a look at When the Mockingbird Sings by Stuart, Bray, and Jason Nickey. I hope that's Nickey. I hope that's how you pronounce that. I hope I didn't butcher that pronunciation. The book is 89 pages, broken up into two parts. The text is very big, and the book is very short. You could finish it in a couple of hours if you were really enthralled or into the subject matter of the story. We'll give you a quick blurb really quick. Book's about a 1960s gangster who is tortured beyond belief due to his sexual attraction to children. I think that actually is word for word the blurb on the back of this book. If it is, I will check after this video. I'll give myself a little pat on the back. So if it is, I'll drop a comment and say that it is, and you should like and subscribe, obviously. We're going to be doing two things in this video. We're going to be doing a trigger warning and a read and review. A review section. The book is not long enough for me to do a fresh thoughts section, so yeah, two parts. And without further ado, because nothing better to do, let's jump into an in-depth trigger warning. So, if you were to purchase a copy of this book, which you should, by the way, and read it, you would find all of the following. Obviously, goes without saying, gore, torture, mutilation, death, violence, fucking blood, guts, entrails, that's the same thing, viscera, bodily fluids. I can't think of any more synonyms. Anyway, all that good shit, all over in the book. Yeah. As the blurb would suggest, there is a shit ton of child abuse, specifically child sexual abuse, and then there's also a couple of scenes of kids being beaten and killed. That's in the book. That's disturbing. It's on the page. It's front and center. It is one of the main points of this book, is showing you the crimes that our main character commits and then the things that are done to him because of it. Well, not really because of it, but we'll talk about that later. Trust me. Also, necrophilia. You got descriptions or imaginings. Our main character imagines necropedophilic actions, and it's like, wow, that's so epic. Also, necrophilic incest, which is really weird. We'll talk about that as well, I promise. Also, with that, you have incest. You know, incest. There's a couple of scenes. There's the one I just talked about, and then there's one where it's rape and it's incestuous. I think it's incestuous. I think that's the right word. You know, normal people probably don't think about that kind of thing, but we're not normal here. We're not like the other book reviewers. We're not like the other book enjoyers, the literature connoisseurs. Also, sexual abuse. A couple of, I mean, obviously that goes without saying with the child stuff that I already talked about, but a couple of scenes of adult on adult sexual abuse, and then also that comes in conjunction with wound fucking, which is very gross. And then genital mutilation. It happens off screen, but it's there. And what else? Oh, of course. The standard gross out stuff, the standard operating procedure for all of these books. You got your feces, a surprising number of scenes of people being pissed on, not even in a sexual way, vomit, and just gross people, like people who don't have good hygiene. You got your schmegma and all of that good stuff. And if all of that sounds palatable to you, then keep watching this video. And if it doesn't, click off and don't read this book. So, let's do some non-spoiler thoughts real quick. First, I want to mention, I plan out my notes, right? Like I got trigger warning, the title, the notes, the author, the thoughts, things to remember. And the only other thing I wrote on here besides the trigger warning was, what the fuck did I just read? I finished this book at 4:30 a.m. last night, or last morning, I guess. And I went to sleep, and I woke up, and the end of it felt like a fever dream, because the second half of the book is a fucking fever dream. So that's very strange. I've been trying to convince myself all day until I re-skimmed parts of it for this video that what I read was actually what I read. And yeah, it was what I read. Jesus, God help us all. The book has a lot of typos and grammatical errors. Nothing book breaking. It's more of a nitpick. A couple of like word, period, comma, that kind of stuff. A couple of words and sentences that don't belong. Just standard shit with self-published books. I mean, I don't blame the writers for that any. It's not unreadable. That's just it's there. I thought I'd mention it. I enjoyed the story that was being told. It wasn't a bad book. I didn't hate it. I didn't like super love it or anything. I wouldn't go ahead and call it like great or and personally I don't think it was really good. I didn't enjoy it very much, but I could see how someone would. Book has two warnings, one on the back and one on the first page, the first actual page after the table of contents. And I feel it deserves those warnings. If you're looking for shock value shit, this is a book for you. And that's about all I can tell you without spoilers. So, spoiler warning, and then also we're going to jump into a plot synopsis. 1960s gangster, as the blurb would suggest, goes to a warehouse to pick up his boss's uh, child that was been trafficked. I don't know. He thinks the boss wants to fuck the kid because he's a sick fuck, and that's not what the boss wants. The boss wants a daughter that he had kidnapped from Asia and trafficked. I don't understand. It doesn't really make sense to me. It's more just a, I think, reason for this guy to get the shit beat out of him and for people to find out that he's a pedophile. Um, but you know, he's there. He has to kill his partner because his partner can't stomach what they think they're doing. He asks the two henchmen there. He's like, "Hey, do you guys got any leftovers?" Meaning kids that didn't get sold. And they're like, "Yeah, go in the back. We got leftovers that need to be disposed of." So he goes back and to the room that he thinks they directed him towards, and he assaults a child and then kills the child and her brother. He walks out, he's covered in blood. The two henchmen are like, "What the fuck, bro? That's not where we told you to go. That's the room where we were keeping our boss's kids." Again, that doesn't really make very much sense, but whatever. He's like, "Oh fuck," they get into a shootout. He takes the little Asian girl that his boss trafficked, and he assaults her, and then goes back to the mansion, where the mob is, the family. They realize that he assaulted the little girl. They're like, "Bro, what the fuck? That's sick." Uh, and then they beat the ever loving shit out of him and lock him in a basement. He wakes up. Well, he wakes up. He was in like a delusional dream. He wakes up 3 weeks later, and it's like he apparently was living off of his own urine and sweat, which, that wouldn't really work, but it's extreme horror. I am nitpicking and being pedantic. Wakes up, two henchmen he's never seen before. They inform him that their mob, their gang, whatever the fuck, they work for the guy whose kids he killed, and they brutalized everyone in the mansion that he was at, and then took him alive to torture. They beat some shit out of him. They don't actually beat him very much. And then open a trunk. It's his mom. They kill her, and then use her head to please him, our main character. And then a doctor comes in, creepy guy. He knocks our main character out, and the character wakes up without his cock and balls in an alleyway. He goes back to the mansion, finds the little Asian girl who apparently hid from the other crime family, and does horrible things to her, even without a cock and balls, and then murders her. He leaves the house, ends up in an alleyway. He's homeless now. And then we're in the second part, and the story takes a weird fucking 120 days or hostile turn, where all of a sudden this rich guy pops out of nowhere. He's like, "Hey, come with me. I'll give you money and food and a place to stay." And then our main character goes back with him, and oh shit, it's a trap. And the guy tortures him in front of his house guests for like an admissions ticket. And that's the bare bones of the story. Our main character dies in the end. I think the story is in first person. Again, fever dream. I barely remember reading a lot of it. Like, it comes back to me in waves, but like, I think it was in first person, which I found to be an actually very good decision on the author's parts. The authors did a good job with that decision, in my opinion. I feel like that was very good, and it lent itself well to the story. Other than that, I mean, some of the gross scenes, I guess I tell you because a lot of you are probably here for the shock value anyway. He gets raped by his dad at the very end of the book. We heard some shit about his dad abusing him, and then all of a sudden his dad's dapper and out of prison, and he was in prison for abusing him and his mom. He's out of prison, he's rich, and he shows up at this fucking guy, the showman's house, and pays extra to go down into the basement and kill a homeless guy, and then rape our main character in his cock wound with a pipe and with his penis, and then bashes him in the head with the pipe and kills him. He gets all of his teeth pulled out, which is something, and then gets throat fucked by a big man, and he also gets throat fucked by a very disgustingly described homeless man who is simultaneously shitting on a toilet. So a blumpkin, I think is what that's called. Um, so that was interesting. That's the first time I've ever seen one of those in an extreme horror novel. What else? What else? That's a great. Oh, continuity errors. There's a couple of continuity errors where things are like he mentions burning the mansion down, but then in the next scene he's still in the mansion in the kitchen, and that's never talked about. So, I mean, it's not, again, nothing book breaking. If you have critical thinking skills, you will understand what is happening in the book. Overall, the story was fine. Oh, my biggest thing. So, the blurb. The blurb states, and this is what sold me on this book, that he gets tortured for being a sexual predator. In my opinion, that's not really the case. Yeah, he gets the shit beat out of him and he gets starved, and that's directly because he's a sexual predator. And he gets his cock and balls chopped off, but that happens off screen. Which is really that annoyed me actually, because they kind of edge us a little bit. The doctor comes in and he's like, "Oh, I was told you don't need anesthesia for this procedure," and then he decides to anesthetize him anyway. And then they kill his mom, but that's like they just punish the mom because clearly it's heavily implied that he enjoys the necrophilic incest that they subject him to, or subject. He has to not enjoy it for them to subject him to it. I'm pretty sure. I'll look up the definition of that word, whatever. I apologize. I'm very fucking tired, but I figured I'd just, before I lose more of this book to the ether, figured I'd talk about it a little bit. And then other than that, I mean, the stuff with the old man, that could have happened to anyone. Like, that guy doesn't know that he's a freak, and honestly, I don't think he would care if he did. He just thought he was a homeless man who had no family. That'd be an easy target. What I mean, which he was, but that's beside the point. Like, he's not getting really tortured because of his horrible crimes that he's committed. He's getting tortured because of chance. And then also other people get tortured instead of him. I guess it could be argued that his dad doing that to him is punishment, but also not really, because that's just his dad's a evil freak as well and doesn't know about his son's crimes. But I mean, that was my main problem with the story, was that I was sold. I thought this was gonna be like a Daddy's Little Girl situation. If you've ever seen that movie, it's like 90 minutes of a guy torturing his daughter's killer, and that was not what this is. This was very different. Um, Personally, for what I was looking for, I was disappointed. But honestly, if you watch this video and go in to the story knowing what you're getting into, and that sounds interesting to you, I think you will like this book. The book it tells a good story. The writing is decent. It's not groundbreaking or anything. As I like to say, it's not Pulitzer Prize winning. The continuity errors, the grammar errors, those are ignorable. You can get away with they can get away with them. That's not nothing that breaks your reading experience or your focus or anything. As always, I'm just a guy on the internet. These are my opinions and my opinions alone. Always, except for the trigger warning and the stuff about the grammar and continuity stuff. That's in the book and pretty objective. But everything else is my opinion. I recommend you buy the book. Buy the book. Support the authors. It's always great to form your own opinions. It's always helpful for society. And I am falling asleep right now. Um, Buy it, read it, enjoy it, or don't enjoy it. As I always say, have I ever said that before? Who fucking knows? Um, like, subscribe, comment. I'd appreciate it. I'll respond to your comments. Dislike if you dislike the video. As always, it's not gonna hurt my feelings. Tell me in the comments if you fucking hate this video. It's not gonna hurt my feelings. That's not gonna hurt my feelings either. Maybe I'll tell you your shirt smells weird. Who knows? Your profile picture's ass. We create a fun, healthy community here with this kind of material. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Oh my God, his dad really did that to him.